Hey, everybody. Welcome into the First Call podcast. Jeremy Plonk, along with Jeff Siegel from Xpressbet. Big weekend of racing as it's closing weekend at Santa Anita. A lot of pick six talk. We'll talk about that in just a bit. Jeff, you all set? What do you got? 34 races out of Santa Anita this weekend?
Yes, actually, we've got 10 on Friday, 12 on Saturday, 12 on Sunday. So we're finishing out. Everybody's going to have a chance, I think, to run their horse before we take a little bit of a break prior to Del Mar. There will be racing at Los Al, but the major league racing at Del Mar will start, I think, the third week of July. So we've got some racing to look at, a couple of 2-year-old stakes, not a whole lot there in there, but we've got Bob Baffert's going to start turning loose his 2-year-olds this weekend, and that's going to be fun to watch. Tomorrow's stars, if not today's. So we'll be looking at that. Of course, have the San Juan Capistrano on Sunday, and of course, good racing in Monmouth this week as well.
Yeah, it's preview day for the Haskell. So several of the different Haskell undercard stakes races all have their prep coming up this Saturday at Monmouth. We'll take a look at that. In fact, let's take a look at the full schedule of stakes races that we have for you on this week's First Call podcast at Belmont Park. We'll talk about the Bed of Roses with a Breeders' Cup champion in that one. At Monmouth Park, again, the 4 stakes we'll look at include the Pegasus, the local prep towards the Haskell Invitational. Santa Anita, the phasing tipped in Futurity for the 2-year-olds. We're going to go harness and bring Al Samaglia, our Xpressbet and First Bet harness handicapper, into the mix to talk about Saturday night's Pepsi North America Cup. And then on Sunday, it's the Stormy Blues Stakes for runners at Laurel Park, 3-year-old fillies in that one. The San Juan Capistrano, the traditional closing day turf marathon route to wrap up the meeting at Santa Anita. Been going straight through since December 26th. So the long Santa Anita road comes to a winding end, but not before there's a lot of attention in the pick six. Let's talk about that quickly. What's going on this weekend, pick six wise at Santa Anita? It's everything must go on closing day Sunday. We know that. So it'll be a mandatory payout in the Rainbow Six there. But on Saturday, there's a single ticket guarantee. If anybody hits the pick six on a single ticket on Saturday, the payoff is guaranteed to be $1 million. So an incentive to get involved even before the final day mandatory payout. See if you can't take down the pick six. And if you're playing the pick six with First Bet and Xpressbet, here's the reason you absolutely should. Bet $100 in the pick six this weekend, and the return is $20 back to you when you bet with First Bet and Xpressbet, not just on Sunday, not just on Saturday, but also today on Friday. So bet $100 in the pick six on any day this week or all 3 days this weekend at Santa Anita. With First Bet and Xpressbet, you'll get $20 put back into your account. Bet 100, get 20 in the pick six this weekend at Santa Anita. So you'll definitely want to jump in on that. Also, if you like to play handicapping tournament, Santa Anita and Xpressbet are the places to be this weekend. We've got a feeder tournament today. It costs just $40 to get involved to get you into Saturday's handicapping tournament at Santa Anita, which is the $500 Santa Anita Challenge. And then on Sunday, another handicapping tournament. This one, a bigger, higher roller player, $100 or $1,500 Santa Anita Closing Day Challenge. So a $500 entry tournament on Saturday, $1,500 on Sunday, but you can get involved with the feeder tournament today for just $40. All right, Jeff Siegel, let's get handicapping, see if we can't put some money in people's wallets and accounts this weekend. We'll start things off at Belmont Park in the Bed of Roses Stakes. We've got Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint champion Goodnight Olive looking to bounce back from a 4-race winning streak that was snapped last time out in a troubled trip at Churchill Downs. Goodnight Olive, you think she gets back on the beam Saturday?
Yes, I do. I mean, she never really had a chance, as we all know, when she was beaten at Churchill Downs. You're watching the race. If you played her or if you were just rooting for her because you like her, you're sitting there and you can see this trouble a mile away. She's boxed in. You're thinking, though, that she's probably going to extricate herself somewhere along the line at the 3/16th pole. Okay, she's blocked, but she'll find room. 8th pole, that's getting a little dicey, but she'll squeeze through. 16th pole, now it's getting a little late and she's got nowhere to go. And then the wire comes up and she still has nowhere to go. So, I mean, you talk about a bad beat. That was it. But if you didn't see the race, I hope I didn't exaggerate the trouble because Goodnight Olive never had a chance.
Well, let's take a look back here from Derby Day in the Derby City Distaff.
Goodnight Olive still with work to do here. She's 2.5 lengths behind. She's pinned in on the inside, and circling the field now is Hot and Sultry, and they're into the stretch. and it is Monterey. Goodnight Olive trying to find a seam in between horses, just to the inside of Wicked Halo. Still, Monterey, a furlong to run. Wicked Halo to the outside. Goodnight Olive is down toward the rail. Monterey is still there. Wicked Halo, Goodnight Olive's going to split him and try to come on late, but there's no room, and Monterey won it. Wicked Halo is second, a trouble trip for Goodnight Olive. She has to settle for third.
You know, there's an interesting return situation in here. Wicked Halo is back, the filly who kept her boxed in the whole way down the stretch. But Tyler Gaffalione was aboard Derby Day, keeping Irad Ortiz pinned down. Jose Ortiz is now on Wicked Halo. You're not going to see the same kind of ride. The Ortiz brothers don't Ortiz each other as they come down the lane. So I would expect that Wicked Halo and Goodnight Olive are on their distant behavior and let the two of them run and see which one's best. They clearly look like the two best horses in the bed of roses. And again, I think the riding dynamics, safe to say, will be completely different.
Yeah, and she's stuck on the rail, ironically, again. Goodnight Olive from the break, but just a 5-runner field going 7/8 at Belmont. You would have to think that somewhere along the way, she's going to get out of there and then show what she can do. She's got one prior win at Belmont, one prior race, won that race by more than 5. And one thing for sure, that last race didn't knock her out. I'm pretty sure that was not a physically taxing effort for her. Frustrating maybe, but not not something that's going to set her back anyway. And she's got a 59 for breezing work, bullet work on June 10th to show that she's spot on. So, you know, I mean, I don't know, there's going to be no gamble here. Obviously, that's what we're looking for, but it would be good to see her come back and get a bit of revenge after having no chance in her last start and then costing her, breaking her winning streak. But maybe she can start a new one now.
Yeah, look, she wasn't awesome in her return win at Keeneland, right? So now there's 2 races in a row where we haven't seen last year's form of Goodnight Olive. There's an excuse for both, obviously, the trip this time and the layoff in the previous start at Keeneland. So I'd like to see her get back and flex some muscle and, just kind of open up on this field, win this by 4 or 5. If you think she's going to defend her title out at Santa Anita, the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint, it's time to start looking like the old Goodnight Olive. She's probably got this race and 1 or 2 more max before a return bid to the Breeders' Cup. So it's high time to look like her old self, and I think she probably will on Saturday. Let's go to Monmouth Park next as we look at 4 stakes races in succession. End of the card here, races 10, 11, 12, and 13 at Monmouth on Saturday. All stakes action starts with $150,000 Pegasus Stakes. This race used to be run at the Meadowlands, but at Monmouth the last several years as a prep towards the Haskell Invitational. We know the field for the Haskell is going to have some superstars in it, but we've got the Louisiana Derby winner in the Pegasus in the local prep. The name, Kingsbarn.
It's Kingsbarns. Jace's Road now launching this bid. Cagliostro is a close third, with Dennington in 4th. Shopper's Revenge, single ruler, and looking to gain on the far outside as they straighten away as Instant Coffee has the black cap. In the meantime, it's still Kingsbarns. Kingsbarns 1 furlong to go, and Kingsbarns looking to finish them off in the Louisiana Derby. And Kingsbarns has opened up 5 lengths now on Disarm, who's gained second from Jace's Road. Shopper's Revenge. Instant Coffee is next, but it's Kingsbarns and Flavian Pratt. Kingsbarns undefeated, 3 for 3. Kingsbarns won by 4 from Disarm.
Kingsbarn's got his own way on the front end there in the Louisiana Derby. It didn't happen for him in the Kentucky Derby and ended up 14th. One of those horses, it's no lead, no pass. That's never a good scenario when he got to the Kentucky Derby. The fact that he wasn't able to just kind of open up in the Derby the same easy, freewheeling way he did in Louisiana made for a logical result there that he ended up well back in the field. This should be a much easier spot for Kingsbarns in terms of the level of competition, but the pace doesn't look extremely easy in here, Jeff. How great is Nate's got some speed in here? You've got some stretch out types. No Confession made the lead in the local Long Branch Wire to Stakes race at Parks. You've got Salute the Stars stepping up in class for Brad Cox, but also made the lead last time at Churchill. So I think the front of this race is going to have a little bit of company, but Kingsbarns should be the class.
Well, he should be the class, and I think based on form and resume, he is. But the good news for Kingsbarns is that even though he did win the Louisiana Derby gate to wire, and he got an aggressive ride and took advantage of what was clearly a paceless race, he has 2 prior wins that he did not make the lead, and including a 2-turn race at Tampa that I thought was visually very impressive. He sat off the pace, sat 4 lengths off it, then came away and got the leaders and drew off. And in his first race, he was sitting fourth early. So I think from an outside draw, Saez has got the opportunity here to assess the pace. And if it's as quickly, if it's as quick as you think it might be, and what I think it might be, there's no reason why he can't settle fourth or fifth and then commence his rally. And as a matter of fact, it may actually be better for him to do that, because even though he won the Louisiana Derby Gate to wire, I mean, anybody could have won that race pretty much, giving the 49 and 3.5.
Right.
When he got hooked into a duel in the Derby, I mean, granted, it was one of these cracking paces that you'd expect horses to not be able to handle. And he was right there at the top of the stretch and then kind of caved in. I don't really hold that against him. I mean, yes, Two Phils took the heat and stayed around, but then Two Phils might very well be one of the top 2 or 3 3-year-olds in the country.
Right.
So I think Kingsbarn's going to be fine. If he's, if he reproduces his best form, I think he'll sit off the pace and then go on with it. I was kind of looking at Subbrigade here as a possible upsetter. He won his maiden race at Belmont Park. He did it okay. He was on the lead that day. It was a decent win, but it wasn't. I mean, it didn't really score high on the goosebump scale, if you know what I mean. So,
right.
Well, I do think he's going to improve and has a chance, and I like the fact that they're thinking enough of him to run him in here. I was hoping to see more because I wanted to put him on top. I'm with Arrogate and all that. He just didn't cut it for me, But maybe he's good enough. So I ended up going back to Kingsbarns, and I'm pretty sure I know what I get with him, and I think it's good to win.
His Pleasure Stablemate Classic Catch in here from the rail gives us our first look at somebody who ran against the next out Belmont winner, Archangelo. This horse was fourth in the Peter Pan Stakes, so be interesting to see if that form of the Peter Pan is better. We know Henry Q's a decent horse who ran third in there. Bishop's Bay, the Brad Cox runner-up in there, looks like a really good middle distance type horse. So that may have been an exceptional addition of the Peter Pan for what we know the Peter Pan to be in recent years. Maybe Classic Catch fourth in that race. Comes back against this level of competition and looks pretty good against it. I would have to think he absolutely fits.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely going to get a great trip from the rail under Paco. I think you're going to see him right in the proper spot, either sit the second or third or right behind the leader saving ground. And, numbers wise, he's not quite at the level where he needs to be, but he certainly could step forward in this race. So, well, that's why he's 3-1. I mean, he's not going to be any long shot there. Classic catch,
But we don't expect a lot out of this race towards the big one, the Haskell. Usually one, maybe two horses out of this race will make it because we know the Haskell is going to be the best 3-year-olds in the division. Baffert's going to bring in a brigade from California. The top flight horses are going to be showing up in the Haskell. Brad Cox will have a couple in there. So let's see. Somebody's got to step forward. They got to raise their hand and say, I belong in the Haskell. It could happen with the field that we have in Saturday's Pegasus.
Go Rocket Ride's going to be going in that race too. And
that's right. Go Rocket Ride for Mandela just announced this week that he's headed that way. Right. Absolutely. The Eatontown is next up on the schedule. These are fillies and mares on the turf. Grade 3 company here. Going a mile and a 16th. The Eatontown race number 11 on the card at Monmouth Park is a prep towards the Matchmaker Stakes that we'll see on the undercard for the Haskell. You've got Chad Brown because it's a filly and mare turf stakes. So you have to have Chad Brown involved in here. He's got consumer spending. He's also got Gina Romantica, we haven't seen since last year's Keeneland Fall Meet as a 3-year-old when she won the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup.
Quarter mile to go. Paris Peacock to catch. Paris Peacock leading Bella Bell, who moves up on the outside. Here's Bella Bell coming after the leader, and McCulick tries to join them. Gina Romantica looks toward the inside. California Angel is still fifth. Here's Gina Romantica moving through and opening down toward the inside to challenge Bella Bell. McCulick third. Gina Romantica in front. Gina Romantica with the lead. She's got it a length and a half. She's got it by 2. She's got it. Gina Romantica wins the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup presented by Dixiana in 1 minute 48.2 seconds.
It's a grade 1 winner coming back in grade 3 company, but this is a really strong race, Jeff. For a grade 350 grander, you got Malavoth, who's in the Prix La Flore, runner-up in one of the best French Group 1 races for the sprint miler types. I mean, this is an excellent field. Consumer Spending's a grade 2 winner, also grade 1 place. Scottish Star has done absolutely nothing wrong to this point. For 150 grand, they're running in this one.
Man, this does not look like any grade 3 I know of. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I ended up with Gina Romanica under the assumption that she's going to return to form in her first start back. I mean, I love that win at Keeneland. High quality filly should get nothing but better as she gets older. Malavat was as you pointed out. I mean, her runner-up effort in the Prix de la Forêt was sensational, and she completely outran her odds at 50-1 when she was a very close fifth, beaten less than 2 lengths to Modern Games in the Breeders' Cup Mile against the boys. I don't know what happened to her at Aqueduct. She was 50 cents on the dollar and never raised a gallop. I mean, she just had nothing there. But I like the fact that Christophe Clement, I mean, if he told her the connections, look, she's not the same filly, they could have sent her home and bred her, but they're going to blow the breeding year by keeping her in training here. And that means that the trainer at least thinks that she's, whatever issue she has, she can bounce back. And, I mean, if you look at her form, I mean, the only thing that she's been first or second, 6 out of 12, unlike her to run so poorly. So 4-1, you may want to gamble on her at that price. You mentioned consumer spending. She's solid at the level. The filly that beat her came back and won a group race. So a good field for sure. I ended up with the filly Gina Romanica. Very curious to see how they come back here, because there's a lot of these fillies still aren't maybe right there where they need to be, but it's about time when the summer comes around where you start getting into form, and we'll see where she's at here.
The only shame is we never saw Malavat against Malavat.
Yeah, right. Malavat
wrong surface, right sex, wrong surface. But that would have been a fun matchup. Best of luck to the race caller in that situation, if that ever happened. Next up on the schedule, race number 12 at Monmouth Park. It's our Xpressbet race of the week. You can get my analysis of the Salvatore Mile in your email inbox. Race of the week each week. Sign up for that email blast, and you'll get it from Xpressbet and FirstBet. Jeff, I thought in this particular race there are a couple horses that are going to take a lot of attention, Artorias and Bourbonic, because it's Chad Brown and it's Todd Pletcher, both drawn to the outside, and I'm taking a stand against them. I think there's some other horses in here who are ready for this race per se versus, a 1 mile race, better post draws, not looking down the road at something else. Because you got to think with Artorias, they're looking down the road at something. First start since October. For Bourbonic, this is a horse who, he runs longer than this. He's not going to be a top-notch miler against elite horses, I wouldn't think. So I took some shots with some others. I thought Petulant down on the rail had a good shot in here. I also thought that Nimitz Class, the Maryland bred, the Pennsylvania bred, based in Maryland, who's run 5 in a row. He's actually based in Pennsylvania at Penn National for Bruce Kravitz. Has run some big races down in Maryland. I thought horses like that had a better shot in here. Taking a shot with some of those types. Octane, the horse from Florida's one's got some early speed in here as well. This is an interesting race because I think there's some horses that fit and some horses that don't really fit. What'd you make of it?
Yeah, I thought exactly the same way. I mean, I recognize, that I really think they're kind of giving Artorias a little bit of a run here. You remember last year he won the Curlin at Saratoga. This looks like, all over a prep for Saratoga. Just get a race into him, and then we'll run him a mile and an eighth somewhere where we know he wants. And colt by Arrogate, and so Petulant Petulant is an Arrogate colt as well, who's lightly raced and getting better from that rail draw. He's going to draft into a great spot. Can win on the lead, can win just off the leaders. This is a tougher spot, but he's progressive, as they say. I actually ended up going with our old friend, though, Nimitz Class, because I know that, he's been kind of being protected here, has been protected by Bruce Kravitz, who, by the way, I saw ride as a jockey about 6 decades ago, I think it was. Yeah.
Seems like he was a trainer at Penn National when I was like knee high to the rail still. Right. So Bruce Kravitz has been around.
Well, he was a jockey out here in California, but before that. But anyway, he's certainly done a great job with Nimitz Class. He's protected him in a sense where he's kept him in races where he knows he can win. He hasn't asked him to do any more than what he's capable of doing. He even dropped him down into an allowance race just to get a race into him. Clearly with this race in mind, looked great doing it. And his numbers are consistently very fast. He's won 10 out of 16. He's got a great stalking style where he never gets in trouble because he's always right where you want him to be. And like I say, his last race was more of a paid workout, but he looked every bit as sharp at Parks in his last start as he has in his previous wins that were at Laurel and against competition that he simply toyed with.
Let's go to Parks with Jessica Paquette on the mic and listen in as Nimitz Class wins last time out, prepping for the Salvatore Mile.
Nimitz Class puts his neck in front and goes on by. Simovic is fighting on gamely, but Nimitz Class moving a little bit stronger as they make their way around the turn. Irish Cork being asked, Paco Lopez flapping the reins at Irish Cork as they hit the top of the stretch. Nimitz Class Simovic is fighting on. He is dead game on the rail. Irish Cork trying to pick up some pieces, but Nimitz Class is sprinting clear. Heavy and Toledo and this nice Pennsylvania bred are striding clear, just opening up with the 16th left to go. It is Nimitz Class, Pennsylvania bred, earning his 5th straight win. Nimitz Class gets the win. Simovic hung tough for second, followed by Irish Cork in third and Prince of Rain in fourth.
Jeff, is probably the best Penn National-based horse since Fabulous Strike. You remember that Tim Kreiser sprinter from about 10 years ago? Really good locally based horse. There's just nowhere for Nimitz Class to run at Penn National. There's no older handicap division stakes races. The allowance races are worth pittance compared to what we can run for here in the Salvatore Mile at 150,000. Another horse I wanted to mention was Empty Tomb. This is a horse who was a claiming winner 2 starts back, stepped up in allowance and ran really well. He's gotten good really quickly for Robert Falcone, and this is a barn. When they get good, they get really good, So I would not be surprised if Empty Tomb runs the race of his life here. He's coming off of 2 straight races that are just unlike others that he's run previously. He's in form. He's a now horse. He's drawn well in the 3-hole with some early speed, so he doesn't have to necessarily gun from the inside. Petulant probably goes. I think the 1 and the 3 probably go and kind of set the pace in here and see what they can do. So I thought those 2 in Nimitz Class, who also won't be far off the lead, I think those 3 can kind of be in position all the way throughout, and that's what I actually took in the race of the week. I rarely ever box 3 horses in an exacta. I think generally it's a bad bet. But when you're throwing out Brown and you're throwing out Pletcher, and I think we're going to get fair prices on the other 3 horses at fair prices, and I think all have about a similar chance of winning. That's the rare chance I'll take the exacta box. So for me, it's Nimitz Class like you, Empty Tomb, and Petulant. Those are the 3 that I took in. I think a good betting race in the Salvatore Mile. I think this is a chance where, Artorias probably going to be over betting here. Let's hope we can beat him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like Nimitz Class, but I can see your logic for sure. And we both agree that the favorites are probably worth betting against. And curious to see what kind of price Nimitz Class is. He's been 70 cents, 20 cents, 60 cents in his last 3 races. And so he does attract money. And he has followers for sure. And as a son of Munnings, I mean, there's no reason why he can't be top class. I mean, he's got the pedigree, so and the numbers as well. So anyway, good race. Monmouth called the Salvatore Mile.
We'll try to beat Chad Brown in the 12th in Salvatore Mile, but as we turn to the 13th on the card, this is the Monmouth Stakes, and this will be the prep for the United Nations. Grade 3 mile and an 1/8 here. The UN will go to a mile and 3/8, I believe, off the top of my head in distance when they get to Haskell Day for that grade 1. But Trebuffin's been a horse who's run well at Monmouth in the past. We've seen him in the United Nations the past couple years. He wired that race in July of 21. He led all the way and got beat a length and 3/4 last year. Jeff, it's a small field. This is a local tune-up. Trebuffin's been away since Saratoga last year. But with his running style, just going right to the front, over a mile and 1/8 against a field much softer than what he'll see in the UN, he just has to take this field wire to wire if he's a shadow of his former self.
Funny thing is that in his younger days, he wasn't even a speed horse. He was like a horse that liked to sit off the pace and make a run. And he did that. And then as they stretched him out to longer distances, his natural speed carried him to a point where they said, he probably is better on the lead. So let's make him a front running marathoner. And of course, he won the Manhattan last year and then 4th in the United Nations and kind of went off form and was turned out. But he's back for Chad Brown. And he's clearly using this race as a tune-up or a prep. Right. It doesn't mean they don't want to win. I mean, he's a gelding. It's a $150,000 purse. Why not take the $90,000 and go home if you are capable of doing it, which he certainly is. And from his inside draw in a race on paper, looks like, I mean, who could possibly run with him? I guess Commandeer maybe could be sent if Paco wanted to mess up the race. But if not that, then I think Trebufin can easily concede the lead and sit second and win. He just outclasses his field. The only question is, can he run well fresh? And, he has done that. He's come off like a 10-month layoff to do that way back in 2021 when he won the Fort Marcy. So even at age 7, and even with this not the most important race on his resume, on his calendar. I think he wins at 9-5 on the morning line. Probably go lower. Number 1, Tribhuvan to win the Monmouth.
Yeah, and Giroux's a very good front end jock, right? That's kind of like his best style, I think, especially on the grass. We've seen him do it over the years. So I think that's a good fit there on the rider change. And this horse used to be a rabbit, I think. I think they wanted him to be a rabbit for Rock Emperor and some of the other horses. He ended up beating them on the front end. And then they said, wait a minute, you don't have to be a rabbit. You could be the headliner. And so I think they'll get him back to the UN with a victory here at Monmouth. Race number 13. That's our final look at 4 consecutive stakes at Monmouth Park. We switch gears to Santa Anita on Saturday, where the Fasig-Tipton Futurity is part of 2 stakes. They also have the debutante for the 2-year-old fillies on the card. We're going to look at the Futurity in race number 6. And one of the 2-year-olds in here is very familiar in name, at least, to Santa Anita fans. His name is Miramati, named for the track announcer, Frank Miramati. Jeff, here's his gate work for Baffert.
Well, he's the colt on the outside. He doesn't even look like a 2-year-old. He's a big, strong, strapping colt with a nice, long stride and plenty of speed. He's going to go 58-4 in this work, leaving a stablemate far behind. And you can see the rider. This is what I would consider to be light coaxing only. He's not really being ridden. He's not being restrained because Bob wants a good, solid work in him and to get him fit. And he's a big colt, and you probably have to, let him do something in the morning other than just kind of go around there in 2-minute lick. So he's giving him a good gate work. This is almost like a practice race. And the funny thing is, most 5/8 races for 2-year-olds in California this time of the year aren't even run as fast as 58-4. They go, the good ones, you would go 59 and change or 59-1 and whatever. And he caught a couple of, went by a couple of breezes who are going like 3/8 of a mile and changes leads well. He's going to be asked a little bit to the 8th pole, and then he's going to finish out 3/4. And I mean, you can't look much better than this. And, good mover, good athlete, beautifully bred. Cost over $1 million. I'd have to say that from an outside draw, he's listed at 4-5 on the morning line. And I'll tell you what, it's not going to be a complete walk in the park because there's another colt in this race named Refocus. That's a colt from the first crop of Pavel, who was a pretty decent sort of older horse trained by Doug O'Neill. And he was a 4-length winner in his debut. He got a 69 buyer number, which is okay. I mean, he can run a little bit anyway. I mean, you can't just go out there and, goof off and expect to be refocused. But I do think Miramati, if he runs like he works, isn't going to have to worry too much about refocus. So it's going to be a decent race, and we'll see what happens. He's just, this is the onslaught begins. And if you've got a 2-year-old in California between now and the first of the year, go somewhere else. That's all I got to say, because he's going to have 2 in every maiden race at Del Mar, and every one of them's going to be better than the one that they previous ran. You have no chance. Trust me. If you've got a 2-year-old, look elsewhere. And this is just the start of the avalanche coming on this weekend.
Miramati cost $1 million at the Keeneland September sale as a yearling. So this isn't one of those 2-year-old in training purchases that breezes in 10 something and everybody throws a bunch of money at. This horse was bought on pedigree, confirmation, looks out of more chocolate, $1 million Keeneland September yearling. So expect a lot out of Miramati. And they always say you don't name a horse after one of your friends unless you think they're good, right? I mean, you don't want to name one after one of your pals and they are chummy with Frank Miramati. That's a bum, right? I mean,
I was just curious. I haven't run into Frank, but I'll ask him if when he's calling this race, does he call a horse Miramati or does he say I'm in front? I don't know, or 3 by 5. I don't know. We'll see how he calls that race.
That is the Fasig-Tipton debutante, race number 7 at Santa Anita on Saturday. Again, remind you, Saturday at Santa Anita. This race is part of the Pick 6. So if you were looking to get a single ticket Pick 6 winner on Saturday, the guaranteed payout is $1 million. And of course, the mandatory payout in the pool will be on Sunday. So no single ticket provision on Sunday, but there will be on Saturday. If you're lucky enough to take it down, though, $1 million. And a reminder again, when you bet $100 into the Pick 6 on Friday, Saturday or Sunday, $100 into each individual pick six or any of the individual pick sixes, you'll get $20 back refunded from Xpressbet and FirstBet. That money will be refunded back into your account in the form of wagering credits after the fact. So take a shot and take a look at that. Saturday night, before we pivot to some Sunday stakes races, we've got the Pepsi North America Cup. It's one of the top harness races in the world at Woodbine Mohawk in Canada, Greater Toronto area there. Our harness handicapping expert with FirstBet and Xpressbet is none other than Al Samaglia. He put together this video for social media. We want to share it with you on the podcast. Here's Al previewing the North America Cup.
The signature race for Woodbine Mohawk Park, the Pepsi North America Cup, will take center stage this Saturday. 10 3-year-old colts and geldings have qualified to compete for a share of a $1 million purse. The program favorites for the 40th running of the Cup are the Brett Pelling entry, Confederate, at 5 to 2 in the morning line. Has post 5 and will be driven by Tim Tetrick. And Linda Toscano's pupil, It's My Show, the second program chalk at 3 to 1, who will be steered by Scott Zeron and leads from post 2. It's set to be a great race, as the 5 sophomores who appear to have the best chance of winning have drawn post positions 2 through 6. The night will feature 2 pick 5s, both with $100,000 guaranteed pools. The early pick 5 will kick off the card, and the late pick 5 will be in an all-stakes version starting in race 7. The North America Cup, race 11, will be the final leg of the late pick 5, and the stakes that make up the sequence have a total purse value in excess of $2 million. Conditioner Nancy Tactor, who won the Cup with Tall Dark Stranger in 2020, sends out 2 entries. Christchurch at 6 to 1, who has post 3, and Save America, who will start outside from post 9 and is 15 to 1 in the morning line. I mentioned the main competitors landed in post 2 through 6, but I wouldn't sleep on Save America. The 9-hole hurts, but could make some noise and add some juice to the gimmicks. Plus, his driver Yannick Gingras has commented on how much he loves the 3-year-old colt. To put a cherry on the cake, the star-studded card has a mandatory payout for the jackpot high 5 in race 13. There is a $213,123 carryover for the exciting finale. The weather looks favorable for Milton, Ontario, and it should be an exciting night of high-caliber harness racing. The late all-stakes pick 5 will be covered in detail in my analysis for Saturday that will be posted on Xpressbet.com. Have a great weekend and good luck.
And thank you to Al Samaglia for that. You can get Al's harness coverage many days a week, almost every day of the week. He's got the harness scene covered for us at Xpressbet.com and at FirstBet. So check out Al's analysis of the late pick 5 on Pepsi North America Cup night tomorrow night, Saturday night at Woodbine Mohawk. All right, Jeff, let's turn our attention back to the thoroughbreds, and we go to Sunday Stormy Blue Stakes at Laurel Park. 5.5 furlong turf sprint here for the 3-year-old fillies. How do you see the Stormy Blues shaking out?
I just went with a filly that has come out of the best races here. That is number 4, I believe she will be. Number 4, My Sweet Affair. Twirling Candy filly, very impressive in her debut at Gulfstream Park, breaking her maiden on grass. That was back in March. Came back in a stakes at Keeneland, was a closing third and a very solid effort. Earned a huge buyer number, 89, which is really strong for 2-year-old fillies. But then kind of bounced. She came back. They brought her back a little bit too quick. Less than 3 weeks, I think it was, or close to that. She's 4th in the Mamzelle at Churchill Downs. And, yeah, I mean, she ran all right. It was, again, a tougher race, but lacked the punch. Now she's had some time off, 6 weeks. I think you'll see her bounce back for George Weaver. And she vans down from Belmont Park to Laurel to try to get that valuable black type. And if she does, I think if she runs her race, she will. Going 5.5 on grass, long run in from the top of the stretch, should have plenty of time. If she gets the patient ride she clearly wants, My Sweet Affair should be able to win the Stormy Blues.
Bosserati in here for the husband-wife team, jockey Sheldon Russell, trainer Brittany Russell. It's become a different filly since she got on the turf. She ran twice on the grass during the short Pimlico stand, May 12th, June 2nd. Back-to-back wins showing speed. She's by Holy Boss out of a twirling candy mare. For a Maryland bred, that's about as good as you can get to be a turf sprinter. I mean, I like that pedigree, and she's run to it in the last 2 starts. So she's probably got to run faster. She hasn't run extremely fast to this point in those 2 races at Pimlico. But Basarati, interesting in here towards the front with a good inside draw. Maybe try to make the lead, get to the hedge, and see what you can do here. But she's got to hold off My Sweet Affair late. Definitely a classy runner. George Weaver sends horses to Maryland with some precision. He's not afraid to bring one down from New York. Arnold Delacour's got After 8 in here, a horse coming out of the Hilltop Stakes. A couple miles. This horse won going a mile at Keeneland, then backed up going the mile last time in the Hilltop Stakes. Shortens the trip. This one by Into Mischief, I would think After 8 is going to appreciate the cut back and trip as well. So an interesting edition of the Stormy Blue Stakes, one of the first stakes of the Laurel Summer Meet as the Pimlico scene has closed. We shift things now to Laurel Park over the course of the entire summer, and be sure to check out all the Laurel handicapping picks. Frank Caruli's got a pick 5 or pick 4, I believe, today for Laurel Park that you can get at the Xpressbet website. So if you want to play some Laurel, get set for that Sunday weekend stakes, check out Frank's picks today at xpressbet.com for Laurel Park on Friday. All right, San Juan Capistrano next up, our final handicapping chore of the weekend, Jeff, and it's a 1 3/4 miles on the Santa Anita turf course. They start coming down the hill in this grade 300 grander. This one always wraps up the meet. It takes a little while to unfold, right? I mean, what are we expecting time-wise in here for the San Juan Capistrano? I mean, they're going to go, they're going to push, 2.5 minutes in here. This is going to be a long one. What do you make of the field and who could be the winner when we close the curtain?
Yeah, the way Awfully Naughty is developed here for Michael McCarthy, he was always, a decent sort of horse, but I don't know whatever got into him. I remember he won a race at Turfway over the all weather, looked good doing it, but it's all weather. Then he shows up at 11-1 in the Whittingham, and I kind of dismissed him. I looked at him and said, he is what he is. But he was so visually impressive in that win. He got blocked. He had trouble. He accelerated. I said, that's not the same horse that I've seen run 15 other times, Comes out of that race and wins the San Luis Rey, a mile the best that day as well, and giving every indication that he will run all day. I mean, he literally is the kind of horse that can run 2 miles. But that last race was impressive because he was trying to move inside into the turn and looking like he was going to just pounce and draw off. And I don't know what happened to him. He kind of stumbled or bobbled or did something, and he kind of got knocked off stride approaching the quarter pole. But I was very impressed with the way he gathered himself up immediately and then went on with it. So he eventually wins this race, but it should have been more, and it was as impressive, I think, as you could be. And he's only, 4 of the 6 are coming out of that same race here, right. So there's no reason to think he won't win right back.
Yeah, he had the target with Opry that day. He'll have Opry in front again probably in this one. Let's watch him reel him in last time out in the San Luis Rey.
Dicey Mochara now beginning to cut into that margin just a bit, as is Awfully Naughty, who just needs a little bit of racing room as he starts to commence a rally on the inside. He just had a steady, however, inside of Rim Protector. And in the meantime, Planetario gets underway in full gear on the outside. Opry, 3-length lead, turning for home. Dicey Mochara, Awfully Naughty gets breathing room. And on the outside, Planetario, a furlong to go. Opry's lead diminishing. Awfully Naughty on the outside. Dicey Mochara between them and Planetario. 16th pole. Awfully Naughty gets the lead from Dicey Mochara and Planetario. And Awfully Naughty proves he was much the best in the San Luis Rey.
I'm going to say 2:48, how long it takes to, I was trying to figure out the time there. I cheated a little bit during the replay, but I'm going to say 2:48 for the time for the San Juan Capistrano on Sunday. Jeff, let the fans know what you'll be doing this weekend as far as your blogs and such for those players tackling Santa Anita's closing weekend.
Oh, yeah, I have full kind of analysis for today. I've already posted it for the entire 10-race program at Santa Anita. Then we'll have 12 tomorrow and then 12 on Sunday. Monday and Tuesday I'm sleeping. Might wake up. I don't know. I'll probably tape Royal Ascot because I want to see that. But it's been a long 6 months, and it's really the grind right now, and they always seem to load up at the last week or so at Santa Anita. So I'll have those posted usually in the morning. Wake up in the morning and it'll be there at Xpressbet. You can also get it at santanita.com and xbtv.com. So I'll be doing that. And then next week I'll be doing best plays around the country, weekend best plays, waiting for both Saratoga and Santa Anita and Del Mar to start up, which will not happen until July. So I'll take a little bit of time off, but I'll still be around on a daily basis. We'll continue with our podcasts every week, and then when Saratoga, we'll have really good workout coverage both at Del Mar. 2 cameras there, 2 cameras at Saratoga to tape the Saratoga and Del Mar workout. So if you are playing, and you should be, and you will be, I know, those 2 meets when it opens up, and all those 2-year-olds where you absolutely need the kind of information we'll have it, and looking forward to that.
Speaking of 2-year-olds and video, check out a $2 million debut runner in race number 2 Sunday at Santa Anita on the closing day program. The 2-year-old Muth, M-U-T-H, debuts for the Bob Baffert Barn. A Good Magic, called Good Magic, the story of the year, with Mage winning the Kentucky Derby. The $2 million 2-year-old Muth debuts race number 2 on Sunday at Santa Anita. Jeff will have all the analysis of that full card for you as well. Xpressbet and firstbet.com. Also, a race we didn't preview here, but Hoosier Philly against Wet Paint in the Monomoy Girl Overnight Stakes Saturday at Ellis Park. That'll be an interesting one that fans will want to follow. I've got a pick 4, pick 5 ticket, and I can tell you it looks very chalky Saturday at Ellis Park. You'll want to play a ticket. Check out my ticket posted at Xpressbet and FirstBet for the Ellis Park pick 4, pick 5 coming up on Saturday. Stakes Company, the Game Face, $75,000 overnight. Goes as race number 11 on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. So we've got stakes all around the country. And the way to play is with FirstBet and Xpressbet, because the $20,000 June sweepstakes rolls on. We're giving away $20,000 in cash simply just by betting with FirstBet and Xpressbet. Every bet you make during the month of June is entered into a random drawing for wagering vouchers at the end of the month, all totaling $20,000 that we're giving away. So be sure to play with us. And again, with the Pepsi North America Cup, $7,500 in hit and splits on the early pick 5. That's a $2,500 hit and split. The late pick 5, a $5,000 hit and split when you're playing. Be sure to check out Al Samaglia's analysis, be posted tomorrow for Saturday night's Pepsi North America Cup. That's going to wrap everything up. By the time we talk to you on Tuesday for It's Official, Royal Ascot's already going to have races in the books. They start on Tuesday through Saturday next week. Classic Causeway among the American horses going to tackle things over there. An interesting entry for Kenny McPeak and company. Of course, Wesley Ward's going to have American Rascal, the hot 2-year-old who won at Keeneland, headed over there along with his contingent of runners. So Jeff's going to sleep. He's going to DVR it. He's going to come back and watch the replays later in the afternoon. But you can catch that live at Xpressbet and on the FirstBet app. All the racing coverage from Royal Ascot. We'll have local handicappers, English handicappers providing picks and analysis for those races too that you'll be able to check out next week. But between now and then, happy closing weekend at Santa Anita. Go tackle those pick 6s. And we'll be back with you on Tuesday for It's Official. Good luck, everybody.